We have quorum, so I will call this meeting to order at 10 o'clock. Good morning, everybody. I will read the land acknowledgement. The city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hadiwendurrung, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live. Thank you. Are there any declarations of interest? No? Moving on then. Morning, Jonathan. Thanks for logging in. Let's adopt the agenda then. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Tom has moved. Ray has seconded. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Then that is carried. Can I have a mover and a seconder to adopt the minutes of the last meeting, please? Jonathan has moved. Linda has seconded. I call the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Then that is carried as well. Are there any items for correspondence? Jonathan? Justin? No? Okay. Moving on to financial. Jonathan? Yes? He's frozen. Oh, okay. All right. Financial, there have not been any invoices sent in yet. There will be fairly soon, though. Any comments regarding financial? No. Then we're moving on to ongoing business. Installation of history plaques for designated properties. The candidates for 2025 and plaque replacements. My suggestion for a new history plaque stand with plaque for a property that doesn't have one yet is the old Lorriman School, now the senior center and the new home of the planning department. It's right in the middle of Thorold's historic residential neighborhood, and I think that would be a good choice. Does anybody have any other suggestions? No? Is everybody all right with putting a stand on that property? Yep. Okay. Since that's city property, I guess I should get the okay from the city as well. I will do that. And if they are okay with it, then that is the property that will get a new stand this year. With regards to replacement plaques, the first batch that we should order is for the Carter Holland House, which has a very faded plaque, for the Pew House, which has a spelling mistake on it, and for the two houses on Albert Street behind Memorial Park, which are not designated, but have also very faded history plaques. I have been in contact with our former chair, Craig Finley, and he told me that those plaques were in fact put up by the Heritage Committee. So I think we should also replace the faded plaques. I will get the text ready for each one of those, which in most cases will be the exact same text that's on it, except for the Pew House where we have to correct that spelling mistake. So I have to confer with Mary and Dave once they are healthy again what the mistake is and correct that before I put in an order for those plaques and to have them replaced on their respective stands. Then, if anybody has suggestions for any others that yes, Win, just a second, that have to be replaced. Then we go from there. Win.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's one new one I want to put on the list. It's the Griffiths House, right by Melswart Park. I drove by it the other day, and the plaque and the stand is completely destroyed. It looks like maybe it was either run over or a very strong wind, but the actual written part of the stand is just leaning against the rock, the rock, what is it? Facade near the front of the property, and the stand itself is just on the ground. So not sure what happened there, but the plaque is destroyed or the stand is destroyed. So I think it's a good candidate for a new one.
Okay, now the Griffiths House is right beside that new development. And I have a feeling this might have happened due to a construction vehicle maybe hitting it. So we should find out who destroyed the plaque, and if we can find out that it was done by the construction crew, then we should also inquire who is responsible for the replacement of it. If it is an act of nature, then the Heritage Committee will take care of it. But I think we should wait first to see what's your opinion on that, Justin?
I think that sounds good to me. Yeah. Also, you may want to wait till the construction's done so it doesn't happen again if that is the case.
True. But thanks for mentioning that. I wasn't aware of that. And, but, you know, if the entire thing, stand and plaque have to be replaced, we're talking a minimum of $800 here. So, you know, if somebody's responsible, then we should try and find out how this happened first. Okay. Any comments? No? Okay. Any other comments regarding history plaques? No? Oh, I just want to mention we still have one sitting there for Trinity United Church. I was actually of the opinion that we can put that up as soon as weather allows, because somebody told me at an event where we had a heritage table that the organization who owns the church now has actually moved in. I have since been in contact with Dave Coplin, who is my main contact at that organization, that is not the case. So he will keep me informed when they are ready for that plaque. And I'm very much hoping that work on this building can proceed as soon as possible. I know our planning department is stretched to the extreme, but this organization does a lot of good work for the community, and they are also committed to preserving one of our most important heritage buildings. So I hope this can, you know, be resolved very quickly. Anyway, moving on to heritage permit status update. Any updates, Nick?
Nothing to share yet, Madam Chair.
Okay.
I was working to get a meeting with Morgan and Sahar to talk about coordinating planning and heritage stuff, and that being one of the things, but our schedules did not align over the last few weeks, so
okay.
Stay tuned.
It would also help if the planning department weren't so overworked, I guess.
That too, yes.
All right. Thank you.
We'll get there.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Overdue Heritage Awards. I will send a email to the city clerk after this meeting to request to put the presenting of the award to Kathy Peltier and Bob Liddicoat into the next upcoming council meeting, if possible. They are going to be back at the end of the month, which means in a few days, so we should be good for the April meeting. New business. Any comments with regards to that? No? Okay. A new business. Heritage designation of Maplehurst. I will hand this over to Nick in just a second. You're probably aware that Maplehurst is currently up for sale, and Nick will give us some feedback as to what's going on right now.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, so with the property for sale, the city has been understandably getting inquiries from potential purchasers who are wondering what the designation means and what the restrictions are associated with the property in order to determine what potentially could be done with the property. So that's caused some review to happen for the bylaw by our office, including planning department. And it seems that it could do with some more clarity on what are the important parts of the property and what's part of the designation, because there's a lot of discussion in the bylaw that doesn't necessarily agree with the heritage attributes that are identified within the bylaw itself. So that's causing some confusion. And I think everyone can agree that it would be beneficial if it's all clear for everyone involved so that people know what is possibly going to happen with the property. So I know that the bylaw is attached to the agenda. It's getting older in terms of heritage bylaws, and there's been updates to the Heritage Act since then, and newer best practices in crafting bylaws for designation. So I think that the purpose of having it come forward to the committee is just for a discussion on potentially updating the designation bylaw and what that might entail. And wanted to just open it up to the floor. Madam Chair, I think you had some thoughts as well on possibly updating the bylaw too. So I just wanted to put that out there for everyone.
Okay, thank you very much, Nick. Yes, I had a meeting with our senior planner, Morgan Castiani, last week, and if there's any doubts, any doubtful sections to the bylaw for planning purposes, then they should be cleared up to make very sure that it is understood what is protected. Let me ask you, Nick, would you be the one who would be redrafting the bylaw?
Yes, we have not been asked by planning to do that, but that's certainly something that our office, our heritage team at work does often update or prepare bylaws. So that's something that we could do based on. I know there's information available in the report. I don't have a copy of the report yet. I understand it was trying to be scanned and sent over so we could have it or copied in some fashion. But if that provides the basis, then that would be what we would use to update the bylaw. I don't know if there's additional research or updating that would be needed to the background work. But once I have the report, I told Morgan what we do is take a look at it and see if that provides the basis we need to update the bylaw and then go from there. So.
Okay. Yeah, out of some reason, the city didn't have a copy of the report. There was one at the library, though, a printed copy, which I took over to the planning department. I was told at the library that they also have a digital version of it.
Oh, great.
So Morgan was going to forward that to ask the library to forward it to her. In case that hasn't happened yet, I know Morgan is on vacation this week. Would you like me to get in touch with the library and ask them to perhaps send that digitalized version to you?
That would be great, Madam Chair, if you could do that.
Yeah, I'll ask whether that's possible, and then you have it right away.
Okay.
Okay, great. And would we get to see the amendment to the bylaw before it's enacted?
I think that would make sense if between now and the next meeting we get the information, can update the bylaw, and then what I'd propose is have an updated one, maybe if red line revision works or if it's just a refreshed version. I think that would make sense for the committee to review, and then what would happen is it would go to council after that.
Okay. Now I also, if anybody else on the committee has any comments regarding this issue, please put up your hand. Yes, Tom?
Have the prospective purchasers come to the city with their exact thoughts in terms of what they would like to do with the property, or is at this point, is it a general overview of what they're looking for?
Thanks, Tom. Through you, Madam Chair, I don't have any details of what people were asking about. Morgan had just mentioned to me that the planning department had been getting inquiries and they weren't entirely clear on what the bylaw had in terms of protection on the property. So trying to clarify that, but I don't know what anyone had proposed or if there was anything. It was just people asking.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Then let's move on, but Nick, I'd appreciate any updates on this matter. That would be great.
Definitely, yes.
Okay, thanks, and I'll get in touch with the library once I'm back home.
Okay.
Okay, then let's move on to the next item. Oh, street name working group. There's no news yet. As I said in the last meeting, our list was submitted to the city, and they will at one point have a working group that decides which names will be accepted, I assume, Justin?
That's my understanding as well. I have no update.
Okay, great. Moving on to work plan, designation priorities. As you know, we're looking at a portion. At first, we were just looking at the St. John's Schoolhouse. Now we're looking at a portion of Old St. John's, which is owned by the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority. It involves the schoolhouse and the land around it. The NPCA themselves suggested why designate just the schoolhouse and not that entire parcel of land as a heritage landscape, since it also has other structures apart from historic landscape that warrant preservation. I mentioned in our last meeting that I was told there were the foundations of an old mill, also the foundations of the old St. John's Post Office, as well as an old farmhouse. And the councillor and I have since had a site visit, and what is there is actually quite astounding. The mill are not just foundations, it is the mill building. It is a reconstruction, but the reconstruction itself is well over 100 years old. So it's an old mill that was built on the foundations of an even older mill. John, you've gotten the pictures with your agenda package, but Justin can also put them up on the screen so I can give you a quick rundown about what is what on that particular property. Sequence doesn't matter, I just comment on it as they come. Okay, here we go. It's, by the way, Wynn who put this package together from photos that we took on our site visit. As you probably know, the brown building at the top is the old St. John's one-room schoolhouse dating back to, 1805. One of the very earliest schools in Upper Canada, still used as an educational facility today by the NPCA and the Catholic School Board. Obviously, historically, extremely important. It is a restoration. However, that was overseen by heritage architect Mark Schultz and was done according to what the schoolhouse originally would have looked like. There's also the original school bell on that post in the front. So that was the building we were looking at originally. However, the land that it sits on the very tip of is a heritage landscape that is worthy of being designated as a landscape, with a couple of its buildings on it as being designated structures, including the schoolhouse. Underneath the white building is the old farmhouse, which still shows its historic provenance in its shape. It just has on that facade where the chimney is, it has been reclad with modern brick. There's also an addition to the side. It still has wood siding. The windows have been replaced with vinyl windows. This structure would not be designated, but it is definitely something that should be a listed property, because you can see that it has a lot of history as well, and all the windows are still in the spots where they originally would have been. The proportions of the windows have not been changed. You also see the old stone foundation walls from the other side. So that is the second structure on the site. Can we move on to the next one? There's also artifacts that are on the site, including these stone pillars that have old plaques on them. That one underneath says scene of the, I think, Short Hills resurrection from, when was it, Tom? I can't read it. 1837. On the other side is, if you want to move on, Justin, sorry. Too many J's. This is the village site of St. John's, and underneath is the name, I guess, of one of the early settlers. John someone, yeah. Oh, John Street. Yeah, so maybe it was named after, well, yeah, it's called St. John. So that, I guess, would have been at one of the village streets at one point. Oh, I should also point out that St. John, together with the village of Beaver Dams, is the oldest settlement in the city, in the township of Thorold. Township of Thorold was founded in 1788, and the first bits that were settled was St. John's and Beaver Dams, so long before the city of Thorold. So we're looking at a very historic site here. Do you want to move on? Thank you. That's another old wall on the property with an old stone arch. I just threw that in there because it's beautiful. And that is the mill. So it probably, the NPCA staff member who took us through the site thinks it dates from the late 19th century. The foundations are much earlier, though. It's in fantastic shape, has been restored by the NPCA exactly as it was, and is also used as one of the educational facilities when they have school groups coming to hold their classes there, as is the old farmhouse, by the way. And I think there's a couple of more pictures of the mill, right? Yeah. This is the entrance to it. I was also told the organization who owned the site before the NPCA had put a concrete ramp up to that gate, which had caused some rot in some of the beams. So the NPCA removed that and put a wooden ramp instead to preserve the building. The interiors are fantastic too, hand-hewn beams. The stream still goes underneath the building. You can see that from the outside through a stone tunnel. It's really wonderfully preserved. Is that the last picture or is there more? Oh yeah, there's another angle there. And this little stone shed, which I threw in also because it's picturesque. And that, I think, is it. The site is extremely beautiful. It's sort of a small valley with a stream meandering through it, which sort of made it ideal for an early mill operation because of the lay of the land. The NPCA is suggesting or would like to designate it as a heritage landscape with the mill and the schoolhouse as designated structures on it. So now I put this up to you, put this to you for comments, and then if you're willing, I would like to pass a motion to order a heritage or to commission a heritage report once we have the NPCA board's endorsement. Staff at the NPCA has already approved this, but it's the board who has the final say. Yes, Ray?
I would make a motion that we prepare to get it done,
Okay.
if that's acceptable.
All right.
And I will second that motion.
All right. Okay.
It wasn't that difficult, was it?
No. Okay. Then we are putting forward a motion that the Heritage Advisory Committee recommends a cultural heritage evaluation report to be commissioned for St. John's Schoolhouse and its surrounding area, including the mill, once the Niagara...
Okay,
Yeah.
we're frozen.
Yeah.
I knew I had my sweater on for a reason.
Once, and the surrounding area, once the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority has approved proceeding with the designation, has endorsed proceeding with the designation.
Do we need the mill in there too? The wording to be the mill as well?
Well, it's basically included in the area.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Just didn't know if we needed that
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, the difference here is there are legal sort of fine points with the NPCA that we have to stick to. And
Okay.
basically the board will endorse to go ahead, but they will only fully approve the designation once they have seen the cultural heritage report and perhaps amended it so that it will be easier for them to keep their educational facilities open at all times. Okay, do I repeat this now, or is it?
Just vote.
Yeah, yeah, approve endorsing is okay, yeah. All right, do you want me to repeat it? Okay. All right, then I call the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? All right, then that is carried. Yeah, Ray moved it and Linda seconded. All right, so yes, Nick.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I think I had mentioned before, but my firm had done a study for the NPCA 10 or 15 years ago. And I think that might be useful background information. We definitely were looking at the cultural heritage landscape, I guess, not designation, but using that term to describe the area around it. So I think there were even some possible features and things identified. So I think that might be a good basis as part of the research that gets done for the cultural heritage evaluation.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something the NPCA has given you or could provide, but I'd be happy to look back in our files and get the copy of it too.
Yeah, I have been given some information by the NPCA, but in case you have something different, that would be great. And can I put you in touch with Sarah or Sarah in touch with you for that?
Sure.
Great. So basically what we have to do is wait for the next, hopefully it will happen at the next board meeting of the NPCA. Staff is getting a report to them together why the designation of this area is important, and they are pretty confident that the board will endorse this. But we won't commission the report until we have that endorsement. But since we don't have a meeting for 2 months, I thought I'd get this motion done now so that we're not held back. All right. Any other comments with regards to St. John's? Oh, and one more thing, Nick. The NPCA owns various land parcels around St. John's. So it doesn't, the designation doesn't include all of those. It only includes the parcel that the schoolhouse is on.
Okay, that's good to know.
Okay. All right. Then if there are no other comments regarding this item, we will move on. Districts, there's no news yet, and neither is there with landscapes, except for the one that is now included in our newest designation project. We do have a couple of other landscapes in mind, but there's no news yet on those. So let's move on to events and fairs. In connection with that item, I'd like to point out that Thorold has a triple anniversary this year. 50 years since incorporation as a city, 150 years since incorporation as a town, and 175 years since incorporation as a village. That's quite a big deal, so I think we should have a nice banner at our table when we are present at events. We can sort of make that ourselves in order not to stress the budget, but I think that should be sort of advertised. I know that the city is celebrating the 50 years as a city, but Thorold itself is much, much older than that, and incorporations as villages or towns were just as important in the early days as incorporations as cities are today. So I think we should make the best of this. Of course, it would have been a great year to have a city heritage day for the first time. Of course, we missed the boat on that, but we can sort of make it the year that we can start working on having a yearly heritage day, as I'd already suggested earlier. So I'll bring that forward at budget discussions in the summer. Of course, Justin just informed me that next year being an election year, it will be a shortened year, but we'll definitely work on making that happen. I think it would be a great event for the city to celebrate our heritage, culture, and not just, various cultural heritages in the city. I think that just makes sense, and it would be a great event just for the community to enjoy, and also make it stress the importance of preserving the city's identity and character. All right, any comments? No? Otherwise, the next major event that's coming up is, of course, the Earth Day Fair. And as I said before, we'll have a table there. And Tom, you had already said you might want to join me for part of the time. That would be great. And if anybody else would like to be there, of course, that would be much appreciated. Any suggestions? Yes, Tom?
Just a thought. Have you thought of any specific design? I really like the idea of having, something that we can display and be proud of, and at events that we're there and we're promoting heritage in the city. Have you thought of a design or having anyone design something like this? It's a great idea to incorporate the three specific dates, 175, 150, and 50. Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking ahead in terms of getting a head start on it and getting someone to design something for us or to think about it at least?
Yeah. I basically had, some big sign in mind. Obviously, that was not in our budget. I don't know how much it would cost to have a banner printed. I don't know how expensive that is, but maybe we can also make something like a big board. Councillor, would you be able to fashion something like that?
Were you thinking of something in terms of something rigid, or when we go to some of these events and have a display on the table, were you thinking of something that we could lay on the table?
Well, I was thinking more upright so that it can be seen from further away.
I was thinking of both.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, really?
Yeah, please, if there are any ideas, any designs you have in mind, bring them forward. And we have 1 month until Earth Day. By then, I'd like it already in place. Yes, Councillor, 1 second. And maybe we should also have something special for Earth Day just in connection with the environment as well, to make it very clear that there's a very strong bond between heritage preservation and preserving our environment.
Okay, thank you.
But really, any ideas, bring them forward, Tom, and we'll work on them. Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have the presentation easel that is often put into play at these events. Maybe we should look at it and see if we can add a hard sign to it as well, perhaps at the top, and following in Tom's suggestion to also have a more flexible banner to put maybe across the booth. So we should take a look at that and see if there's room on that easel. It's fairly large. Maybe something can be adapted for it.
You mean that wooden easel that we have the pictures of the city on?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Like if we did a banner, rather than having it on the table, in front of the table, so that people can see it as they approach the table, would maybe even. What do you think?
Yes, I agree. That's what I was thinking of, just in general terms, that we can attract the attention of people as they approach us. They'll see it, and it'll help promote what we're talking about. Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe we also inquire just how much it would cost to have a sort of a textile banner made. Maybe it's not that much, and it will fit into our sort of petty cash expenses. I would even pay for it. Yes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can look into that with our downtown businesses.
Okay, thanks. All right, Linda.
What about a banner like those that have the screens that come up and maybe have pictures of several wonderful designated buildings on it, and that are already designated, maybe some things that would be like in this city core?
Yeah,
and pictures of the park and picture of the designated, a lock or something like that. But have a collage of pictures of designated buildings that would be within the city, so that people could see them.
Yeah, actually. Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you. Great idea, but we're already doing that. That easel that Tim was talking about usually has a board with pictures of our designated buildings on it. Yes?
I'm talking about one of these that are a screen, that the screen, and it comes up and you hook it up and you see it on displays. It's a screen.
Yeah.
That you could do, and it's very light to carry around. It doesn't take, and that kind of screen, once you buy the base for it, you can change it over the years, just the screen itself. I think it's they're about $300 or $400.
Yeah. Okay, then we have to look at that for next year, if that were in the budget, because that's not in the budget this year. But thank you for the suggestion, and it's definitely something that would be nice to have. Any other comments? No? Okay, then moving on to the Remembrance Day acknowledgement, Mary has been in touch with some info about wreaths, and so has our council rep. Councillor, do you want to speak to that?
Sure. Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to the committee. I spoke with the Branch 17 Thorold Legion president just the other day regarding Heritage Committee presenting a wreath on Remembrance Day, and the cost is approximately $80 for a small wreath. They take care of everything and have it at the site on the day of the ceremony. So
Okay.
that's the update.
Thank you. It seems to be that these wreaths all come from the same source, and we would comply with that. Remember, originally I had said it would be nice to have something natural, but maybe that is a discussion that the Legion or the Corps can have in the future to maybe reuse the wreaths, but I think it would be a good idea for the Heritage Committee to lay a small wreath at that ceremony and acknowledge our veterans and fallen soldiers, which of course are part of our heritage. I think we can probably fit that into our budget. I'll ask, but I'm sure it will be granted. So if there are no more comments regarding that, are there? No? Okay. Then we're going on to outstanding items. Does anybody have any comments regarding the things on our outstanding item list? No? Yes, Justin?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. To the committee, on March 18th, Council approved a request for proposal award for official plan through the Planning Department. So that's kind of the start of the process. They've picked a group to undertake the official plan, I guess. So.
To create a new official plan?
I think so, yes, as far as I understand, yeah.
And will the Heritage Committee at one point be asked to give some input?
That's beyond me. That's just what they passed right now.
Okay.
They just picked a company, so I think
yeah.
they still have to get going on that. But
okay,
yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. And any updates about that would be appreciated. Thanks. Any other outstanding items that anybody has comments on? No? Then we go to round table. Linda, would you like to add anything?
Not at this time.
Okay. Ray?
No, nothing at this time.
Okay. Wynn?
Nothing for me, Madam Chair.
Thanks. Jonathan?
Nothing at this time, Madam Chair. Sorry.
Thank you. And Nick?
No, nothing for me today either.
Okay. Ricardo?
Nothing to add at this time, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor?
Nothing from me, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Tom?
Nothing at this point.
And Justin?
Nothing here, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Our next meeting will be held on May 27th at 10 in the morning, as usual. That's not the meeting that is, oh no, we changed the date on that one. Right. On May 27th, there's no meeting in April unless there's an emergency and we have to approve a motion or something. But at this point, our next meeting will be in 2 months' time. And there being no further business at this time, this meeting is adjourned at 10:44. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.